Godzilla in the Marvel Universe is probably one of the best crossovers he's ever had so far, in my opinion. And this is because, well, now we get to see how he measured up against a lot of the Marvel characters. And with him basically beating up Dormammu and in his own dimension, by the way, where he should be at his strongest, because he is in the dark dimension. And funny enough, he literally just grabs him and just straight up atomic breaths him until Dormammu lets him out of the realm, and then he goes on to basically destroy everything. Keep in mind, he goes right back to where he, was already originally, or the original time he left. And this is actually going to be funny because he's about to fight the X-Men next issue. So this means that Godzilla himself just straight up beat a Skyfather, if not a beyond Skyfather level being, by the way, which is absolutely ridiculous. But one quote is actually quite scary when you look at it. Godzilla being called the strongest creature known to mankind, especially in the sense of Marvel itself. And today we're going to talk about why this is important. Why Godzilla in Marvel is absolutely scary with this quote. Let's talk about one of the first monsters he was ever compared to. That being the Midgard serpent, or Jormungandr, right? Now, this is the first monster, genuine monster by the way, that he was actually scaled to. Not really going to count Devil Dinosaur because again, he's not really on that kind of caliber, if you will. But again, if you want, he is Hulk level, so that isn't bad. Now, keep in mind, Thor compared him to the Midgard serpent and said that he definitely should be stronger. And Godzilla was matching Thor to such a degree that Thor was literally beginning to doubt his own strength, meaning that he was going to eventually lose out in a contest of strength. Now, why is this important? Legendary, how strong is Jormungandr? Well, Big Serpent over here is actually quite consistent. One of the most consistent monsters in the Marvel franchise in general. But again, currently, he is strong enough to match and even overpower even the likes of Immortal Thor, despite the fact that this Thor has done some ridiculous things like beating up a MODOK that had the power of all 10 realms. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? And Jormungandr, throughout his entire career or his entire appearances, even going back to the classic days, right? Just to kind of keep classic with classic, he was actually capable of, again, overpowering Thor consistently. Even when Thor had the help of Beta Ray Bill, it was just he still couldn't do anything. They couldn't even damage him internally when they were swallowed by him. They had to find a way for him to like gag them up in order for that to work. And keep in mind, Jormungandr also has venom that is made to kill Asgardians or gods in general, right? So not only did Jormungandr flat out, just straight up overpower Thor, he's actually confirmed to be stronger. So Thor saying that he's comparable, or Godzilla back in those classic days was comparable to the Midgard serpent, is not even a laughing matter. This is one of Thor's strongest enemies, to the point where it was confirmed that Thor couldn't do anything to him physically. Now you might be like, he pulled him off the planet and stuff like that. Yeah, but that was after luring him out of it. Kind of luring him off the planet and stuff like that, then pulling him off of it further. So kind of yeah, he did it, but again, it kind of went to a step-by-step process. And the fact that Jormungandr was consistently slapping him around, even more so than Mangog. So I would definitely say that Mangog and the World Serpent are likely very comparable in terms of strength. But again, that does depend on how you really want to look at it here. But yes, Godzilla being comparable to the World Serpent and saying that he's stronger, Thor saying that he might even be stronger than the World Serpent, is absolutely not funny. Next off, we got the Wendigo. Now you might be like, oh, legendary this jobber, come on now. Now again, even though the Wendigo is a jobber, he's a very powerful jobber. Again, similar to Ares, not as consistent, but I would probably say the Wendigo, surprisingly, is more consistent than Ares. At least in terms of these kind of feats, right? The Wendigo has been comparable to Hulk for years. I mean, he's fought Weapon H, and Weapon H couldn't put him down without a mystical weapon behind his own strength. And not even Doctor Strange could, when a Wendigo that was, I guess you could say, slightly amped up, because again, he cannibalized its own species, just straight up was wrecking both Doctor Strange and Weapon H at the same time, right? Then you also have his first few appearances. This dude was giving Hulk the work, giving Wolverine the work, right? And this was Bone Claw's Wolverine, so it, not as impressive, but again, still impressive that he was able to slash his eyes out and stuff like that. But again, the Wendigo itself has always been comparable to Hulk, has always been, well, Savage Hulk, mind you, which is going to be important. And even Wolverine himself stated that the Wendigos are as strong as the Hulk. Keep in mind, this is someone who's consistently traded, blows with the Hulk, or at least has been able to contend against the Hulk on a couple of occasions. So I would definitely take Wolverine's word for it. Then he's also being able to beat up members of the Alpha Flight like North Star and Sasquatch. Sasquatch himself, in his first few appearances, was actually able to contend against the Hulk, even though he lost. But again, Wendigo was probably the most consistent enemy anytime Hulk went out into the woods. And it was funny enough to where when the Wendigo was used to be smart enough, right, to wrap chains around the Hulk and just straight up try to choke him out. So Abomination in the movies, didn't get that treatment just yet. It was the Hulk that actually got it first. Funny, ain't it? Then you also have the fact that they were, as a group, mind you, they're confirmed to be able to overwhelm the likes of Thor and Black Armor Iron Man, or, kind of like Bleeding Edge 2.0 Iron Man. That Iron Man was able to survive a black hole and was able to contend against Malekith, even outdid him in illusions. I know, crazy, right? Then you have Thor, who I think I've scaled plenty of times as an outerversal being himself, right? So if these guys are comparable to the Hulk, but way nastier, and Godzilla straight up one-shotted the Hulk. Now again, keep in mind this is Savage Hulk, which the Wendigos more so compared to. And this means that Godzilla would be 10 times stronger than any Wendigo, even the apexes of them. But now let's move on to Fin Fang Foom. Oh boy, oh boy. It's kind of sad how Marvel really did my boy over here. He's one of my favorites. He really is. He's one of my favorite characters. Definitely on the top 10s list, in my opinion. Might do a top 10 favorite Marvel characters in general list. But, it's kind of sad because Fin Fang Foom, was Marvel's version of King of the Monsters, or, Marvel's King of Monsters. And again, it is important that they did put that in the comic. However, when he tried to step up to Godzilla, he just, as you guys can see here, it's kind of embarrassing. Godzilla using the tip of his tail just to three-piece him and just send him flying, right? Then he goes on to beat Fin Fang Foom in that same Godzilla vs. Avengers issue. Beats him so bad that his legs are broken. I know, absolutely ridiculous, right? Then even when Thor and Godzilla tag team him, it's still not enough. And keep in mind, Fin Fang Foom was even a challenge to the likes of the indestructible Hulk. A Hulk that actually had Bruce Banner's intelligence, but wasn't around that world breaker part anymore. I mean, he probably was still there. It's probably still dormant within him. But again, he wasn't, doing that kind of stuff here. I mean, this is a Hulk that literally smiled when Thanos punched him, and Fin Fang Foom is actually capable of hurting him. I know, it's absolutely ridiculous, but again, we got to understand that there are, levels to this. There are degrees of strength here, and Fin Fang Foom has been a consistent threat to Hulks and Avengers teams, even X-Men teams and stuff like that. So the fact that Godzilla thought nothing of Fin Fang Foom and just casually like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna just let me just tail slap you real quick and go about my day, right? Just straight up tail slapping him, disrespecting him, when characters like Thor and Hulk have literally thought that he was one of the most challenging beings he has ever faced. Again, says a lot. Godzilla casually no-diffed this dude. Like, didn't even think anything of him. And then straight up use Jet Jaguar in that same issue, mind you, to just straight up smack Fin Fang Foom disrespectfully. Oh, and keep in mind, Jet Jaguar also manhandled Fin Fang Foom. And Godzilla ripped Jet Jaguar's arm off just to use him as a weapon. Dude, he's your friend. What the heck? But again, Fin Fang Foom himself does have great feats. Challenging Thor, challenging Hulk, being able to beat up Heralds of Galactus casually, and even some of the stronger members of Guardians of the Galaxy, like Drax. Yeah, Drax is pretty strong. Keep in mind, he's also not black. He's also back to his classic day self as well. But yeah, let's move on. And now, Shao-Lao, the Immortal Beast. Now, this is actually pretty interesting. And again, I would not mind if you used the other Immortal Beast in the Marvel Rivals game. This is important because, again, we know that some of these creatures, every dimension has a reflection of 616 in some way, shape, or form, including the likes of characters. So it's very possible that in the city of Kunlun, these other immortal beasts would still exist and do have these tournaments every now and then, after 1,000 years or so, right? So all these immortal beasts are capable of rivaling Shao-Lao in terms of their power, even being able to bestow their power upon champions, Storm, Angela, etc. But again, back with Shao-Lao in the 616 continuity, you can scale him pretty high, and this is pretty simple. For starters, a young Shao-Lao, baby Shao-Lao, Drogon Shao-Lao, was able to harm the likes of the Phoenix Force Cyclops, or any member of the Phoenix Five, mind you. And keep in mind, Cyclops even said, "You hurt me. I can't allow that again." Keep in mind, this was a Phoenix Force Cyclops that had, I guess you could say, one half of the Phoenix Force at that time, because this was a bit after Colossus, Magic, and Namor both were defeated by either themselves or the Avengers. However, Shao-Lao's power is the Iron Fist. I feel like a lot of people really don't understand how powerful Iron Fist is, or how powerful Lin Lee or Danny Rand were, when they also had the power of Shao-Lao. But let's go all the way back to the original, the first Iron Fist, this baddie over here. Now, she was capable of beating up Killmonger, King Killmonger, mind you. But let's go over King Killmonger real quick, right? This is a Killmonger that had a Vibranium Uru destroyer armor, all right? And kind of infused himself with it. So he is the armor, okay? Even with his face exposed, he exposes his face to let out an energy blast, which I find ridiculous. But again, he's casually in that armor, right? So this Killmonger was able to bully an Iron Man, which was in this kind of suit, mind you, that was capable of punching through vibranium and adamantium combined, literally like at the same time, mind you. And then he also was able to battle against King Thor. Not Immortal Thor, this is King Thor, okay? Before he really got the power of Zeus and the full totality of the Only Force, he was still kind of discovering his Phoenix Force self, if you will, right? And keep in mind, this is actually pretty, I think this is actually pretty important. But again, he was able to just cut through that armor like it was nothing, all right? This armor took a beating from the likes of the Star brand, the original Star brand, not the T-Rex one, the Hulk one, which again, I do hope that is a custom in Marvel Rivals. It needs to happen. Also took attacks from the original Ghost Rider. Again, another Skyfather level being. Then you also have Odin in his prime with the Mother Storm. And, in the Boar Force or something like that. I think it was called the Boar Force back then. But again, here's the thing, right? Iron Fist beat the crap and even killed this Killmonger. Like, she beat everything out this man. Like, listen, treated him like he was a slave, all right? She beat every inch of life out of him. And previously, he took a blast to the exposed face, mind you, from Captain Marvel, King Thor, and Prime Odin to the face, and simply just yelled out in pain and then proceeded to just one-shot them. And then here she come like, nah, buddy, gonna have to deal with me real quick. And she kills him. even being able to dent and punch his armor. So the power of Xiao Lao is strong enough to literally beat down characters that are either Phoenix Force wielders or Skyfather level beings. And yet again, Godzilla's confirmed mightier than him. Crazy, ain't it? And finally, we have Saturang, one of the newer monsters in Marvel, but again, he's not too bad to talk about here, and I feel like he could definitely be a good honorable mention, but I do feel like this video is, just kind of missing a few monsters as it is here, as some of the monsters really ain't doing that hot in Marvel in terms of, currency. But again, this is a guy that was able to beat the Savage Avengers of Conan, Juggernaut, Black Knight, Dane, by the way, and Juggernaut, Magic, Magic, Conan, Black Knight, and Juggernaut, alright? So, was able to beat all of these characters, right? And this is actually pretty great, mind you. He was taking attacks from them. He was actually able to get the upper hand on them. And keep in mind, when they originally confronted him, like their first encounter with him, he beat all 4 of them at the same time. With the only one left standing was Magic originally. But again, they locked in, got themselves together, and tag teamed them with some difficulty. Keep in mind that Juggernaut was able to produce a force that was stronger than the likes of pre-current Thor. So probably pre-King Thor as well. Or probably stronger than young Thor, considering the fact that Saturang was fighting Thor back in those days. Now, Magic herself is actually a pretty good powerhouse. With one of the feats she did was kick and pretty much destroy all of Asgard. An entire infinite universe on a quantum level. Destroyed. Casually. Black Knights in general would also scale because of the Ebony Blade. And this is because Sir Percy was actually able to beat a young Thor in little under than a few moves. He blocked a strike, countered his hammer, and then proceeded to one-shot him with an energy blast, then go on a bloodlust rampage. A rampage that honestly just left Thor kind of bitter, even towards the current Black Knight like Dane, because they just simply don't like each other at this moment. It's kind of funny though, because again, Black Knight and Thor just have like this eternal beef, and Dane's just like, hey, it wasn't me, but hey, I don't mind it either. But in all honesty, that is gonna do it for this video. So kind of similar to the D&D one, Godzilla's one quote can have multiple meanings, but at least this one has more evidence backing it up, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? But I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below and subscribe as well. And I will be doing a concept for a Marvel Rivals version of Godzilla, as well as King Ghidorah and my boy Zilla, before I move on to Transformers like Optimus, Megatron, and Grimlock himself. And then if a few Capcom characters as well, like Morgan, Dante, and the Moss Hunter. So be sure to comment down below, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I hope you guys have a blessed day and are staying safe out there, because this world is crazy. Peace.